The way I look at it, so um, you have to first of all, like we kind of touched on the last podcast we did, you have to identify exactly like where you're at in your life, in your lifestyle. What you've done previously, what you plan to do. Like what have you got going on now, and like just what are your goals basically, and what do you want to achieve. Um, and to me, there's kind of, and we can use the football example with the full-time professional athletes and the semi-professionals, and then the recreationals. And so your full-time athletes are probably going to be, they're probably only the top 5 to 10 male and female, like in the world. I would only say that they are, there's very few athletes that can just be full-time, like wake up, train, like everything revolves around training and competing, and they don't have to worry about working. There's still a very small amount of athletes. Most even who have been to the games 3 or 4 times are still having to, take classes or PT, or provide some kind of work, or if it's CrossFit or fitness related or not, they're still having to gain some form of income, because what they receive from sponsors or prize money just isn't enough to, it might be enough for that moment in time then to keep them going, but if they stop competing next year, then they've got, they've not got a great deal. So most athletes will have like some form of lifestyle stress, whether it's work commitments, family, something that's non-trainer related, that will be adding stress into their life. And then you've got your training related stress as well. So I drew a diagram so I could understand it. Well, not understand it, but be able to help others understand it a bit better. It's actually a bath. If you're on the YouTube one, I've drawn a bath. All right. So if you're listening on Spotify, if you imagine, imagine there's a bath, okay, and everyone's bath size is different. All bath sizes are different. Some hold more water, some hold less. And you've got 2 taps of water going into the bath. And you've got, on one tap, you've got all the training related stress. So you've got volume of training, intensity of training, frequency of training, just the general CNS loading, and anything that's kind of encouraging the sympathetic nervous system to get fired up. So, just your day-to-day, your physical loading and the mental loading that's everything that's basically just training related. Okay, and you've got that coming all out through one tap and filling up this bathtub, and the bathtub is in effect your body and your central nervous system. And then you've got another tap, which is, like I mentioned before, the lifestyle stress. Okay, and there you've got your work commitments and the work responsibilities that you have, and then your family commitments, and if you've got kids or elders that you have to look after, or pets, or stuff like that. And that's also could potentially be more sympathetic nervous system. So you've got those 2 taps just firing in stress, firing in load into the bathtub. And the body can take so much of that. Okay, and if you have the training, you have all the training stress, and you have all the lifestyle stress, then there's going to be a point where the bath gets to like an optimal level that you need to kind of like manage. And then there's also, you've got your sinkhole, which is where the water's flying out at the bottom of the bath, and that's just what you're doing to recover. What you're doing to recover from the stress that you're putting into the bathtub, or putting onto yourself, into your body. So whether it's, the 3 main things are going to be nutrition, hydration, sleep. to help that water run smoothly out the bath. And then your other stuff like how many rest days and recovery days you're taking. Are you going through deload weeks and like an off season where you can fully just kind of like take a little bit of take the training load, reduce the amount of water coming out of that tap. Are you doing stuff like your relaxation and meditation and just generally stuff that's encouraging your parasympathetic nervous system? Just stuff to relax and recharge. And like I said, there's an optimal level for everyone. Now, if we take the full-time professional athlete and you think about all the training stress coming out of the tap on the left and all the lifestyle stress coming out of the tap on the right, they've got much less lifestyle stress adding to that bathtub than someone who is doing CrossFit recreationally. Someone who has a business to run, someone who has a wife or a husband and kids. Like they've got much less. So now there's less water going into their bathtub, which then they can make up that extra water with what's coming out of the other tap in training. So they can then handle more training load and more stress, and they can afford to do more sessions per day. They can, because they've got less going into the bathtub from other areas. So the recovery is just the same. So if you've got a full-time athlete who's doing 25 hours a week training and doing 0 hours of, there's zero time or energy coming from lifestyle stress, and then you've got a recreational athlete who's got 10 hours of training and 15 hours of lifestyle stress, that's the same amount of stress that they're taking under. And stress is stress. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. It's stress on the body. So the issue then becomes when that recreational athlete sees their idols, who are the full-time athletes, and who they would like to get to, but they're not quite fully seeing the bigger picture. And then they up their, let's say it was 25 hours in total of stress, they up to match the full-time athletes, and then suddenly they've got, loads of water going into this bathtub, and then it overflows and the bathroom's flooded.
What about if, let's say, a recreational CrossFitter the only stresses they've got is a job? How do you bridge the gap from them to becoming obviously with more training there will get better? So then they would have to reduce in like their job. Exactly. Would they, the hours they put in for their work? Is that what we're saying? So in brutal honesty, if you want to be going that far, it's like, do you need to be?
Yeah, I think
losing that.
I mean, I could use my example of myself. It comes in kind of stages, and it's kind of like you've kind of got to be performing and living the life at a level higher than what you're currently at. So I decided in 2013 to 14 to stop personal training, because that was an extra 15 to 20 hours a week where I was on my feet. It's quite active and it's quite draining, isn't it? And it was just taking away how much I could recover. So I drastically dropped those hours. Still did a little bit, but drastically dropped them so I could recover more and train better. And take notice it was not to train more, it was to recover more and train better. And then once I could train better and I could manage it, then I could think about training more, as long as I was still recovering just as well. So it was kind of like a gradual thing. And then only then when my kind of performance followed and I could see that there was progression coming, and I was getting closer to reaching my goals, could I justify completely stopping personal training and taking all of the hours away. And it got to the point in 2014 where that's the decision I chose, and all kind of like my working load was just based on you know, running the gym and teaching classes, which is still quite you know, a decent amount, but dropped the amount of classes as well, but still running the gym.